Hi there, and welcome to another home safari here at the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. My name is Stephanie Schuler. I'm the head keeper here at Jungle Trails, and I have here with me Teresa Larson. We're excited to have you back in Jungle Trails. A few weeks ago, we talked to you about the bonobos that reside here in Jungle Trails, and today we're here to talk to you about this handsome fella. It's Henry. He's our 29-year-old Sumatran male orangutan. Teresa, you want to talk to us about Henry?
So we set up Henry's yard today to showcase some of his problem-solving skills. So right now he's working in what we call a groper feeder. So basically there's snacks inside, but he's got to sort through the hay to get to it. So that's going to keep him occupied for a little bit. Henry is an orangutan. Orangutans are found in Indonesia, either on the island of Borneo or the island of Sumatra. So with Henry being a Sumatran orangutan, that's where you would find him in the wild. One thing that most people don't realize about orangutans is that they are actually a solitary species. So unlike the bonobos, which you guys met a couple weeks ago, who are social and like to be around other bonobos, need to have other bonobos, orangutans really aren't and don't necessarily need other orangutan friends to meet their social needs. In the wild, so say you've got a big patch of rainforest, and that rainforest is going to have maybe 4 or 5 females living in it, and if they have any babies, the babies will be with mom. And then 1 or 2 males will overlap all of those females, and it's more like a neighborhood. So they're aware that the other individuals are there, so the males know that there's other females around. The females are aware that the male is there as well as the other females. But just like you know you have neighbors and you may know your neighbors, you're not always interacting with your neighbors. So these guys don't really hang out much together. So here at the Cincinnati Zoo, Henry is our lone orangutan. He much prefers it that way. So some of you might be wondering if he's sad or lonely. He's really not. He likes being by himself. He likes being the center of the keeper's world. He also doesn't like sharing his adoring public. So he's doing really fine. You may or may not see the gibbons bouncing in and around. So he does share the outdoor space with white-hand gibbons. The gibbon pair are Hosen and Connie. They are a brother-sister pair. They usually do all the acrobatic footwork, or handwork in this case, seeing them swinging around. Everything you see those gibbons doing, either right now or when you get to visit the zoo later on this year, Henry is physically capable of doing all of that. Usually he does traverse and climb at least once or twice a day, but usually he likes to sit and watch the people. He's always waiting for the keepers, seeing where we hid treats or if we're bringing him new treats. So he very much likes just to kind of hang out. Do you guys have questions?
Let's see, Layla asked, what is Henry's favorite food?
So Henry's favorite foods would be fruits, any of his fruits. His absolute favorite food, I would say, is hard-boiled eggs. So these guys are primarily frugivores or fruit eaters. So in the wild, they'd be finding ripe fruit in the trees. They'd also be eating leaves and bark. So here in the zoo, we feed them fruit, vegetables. Twice a week he gets hard-boiled eggs, and then we also feed him starches, so like sweet potato, corn on the cob, things like that. So all of those are our way of representing what they would get in the wild.
Josiah asks, are they endangered?
They are very endangered. So these guys are only found in Indonesia. It's a chain of islands, either on the island of Borneo or Sumatra, like I said earlier. And unfortunately, those 2 islands are also where most of the palm oil is produced in the world. So palm oil is a vegetable oil. It's used in lots of things that you guys eat or use on a daily basis. So candies, cosmetics, so shampoos, makeups, things like that. And there's 2 different types of palm oils. There's the sustainable palm oil, meaning it's orangutan friendly, so the forests were not cut down to make your palm oil. And then there's unsustainable palm oil, meaning that the forests were clear cut and turned into palm oil plantations. So here in Cincinnati, something that you can do to help wild orangutans is to download an app onto your phone, and then when you're shopping at the grocery store, you can determine if the products you're buying are use orangutan-friendly palm oil or if they are not using orangutan-friendly palm oil. So if you just change a couple of things that you're buying at the store so that you know that they are orangutan-friendly, you are helping Henry's wild counterparts.
Ethan asked a great question. He asked, how long do orangutans stay with their moms?
So orangutans stay with their moms upwards of 9 years because it's just mom teaching the baby orangutan everything it needs to know about being an orangutan. So how to move through the forest, what to eat, where to find what to eat, how to avoid anything that could be dangerous to them. So like with the bonobos, it's mom, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters. So it's a bunch of different individual bonobos teaching baby bonobo everything it needs to know. So baby bonobo can grow up and leave mom a lot sooner. But with orangutans, it's at least 9 years before they go off on their own.
Selena asked, how much does Henry weigh?
So Henry weighs about 200 pounds, and he's on the light side for adult male orangutan. Adult male orangutans can average between 200 and 250. Depending on the individual, they can also get up to about 300 and still be at a healthy weight. Female orangutans are usually a lot smaller and average around 90 to 120 pounds, so a lot smaller.
And Tad would like to know, why is Henry's hair so long?
Henry does have remarkable hair, doesn't he? So his hair serves a number of different purposes. Primarily, it is used as a raincoat. So where we would have to put on a rain jacket when it's raining, Henry doesn't need one. His hair is a natural rain jacket. It's thicker than our hair, and it also has an oily layer to it, so rainwater naturally just kind of flows over it instead of going down and soaking to his skin. He's sitting in a ray of sun right now, so it also works as sunscreen, meaning that the sun can't actually reach his skin because of all of the hair. And then it'll also help protect him from bug bites as well as thorns and things like that.
So Grant would like us to explain the difference between monkeys and apes.
The difference between monkeys and apes. The very simplest, quickest answer is that monkeys have tails and apes do not. So both of the species that are out here, both Henry, the orangutan, and then Hosen and Connie, the gibbons, are both apes, meaning that they don't have tails. So when you come to the zoo next time, when you're checking out one of our primate exhibits around the zoo, look and see if they have a tail. If they have a tail, you're looking at a monkey. If there's no tail, you're looking at an ape. Some monkeys, tails are teeny tiny and really hard to see, so when you're looking at our nocturnal exhibits, look extra long and hard because their tails are teeny tiny, because they're still monkeys even though their tails are hard to see.
Izzy would like to know, how long do orangutans live?
Orangutans in zoos can live into their, let me start over. Male orangutans in zoos can live into their mid to late 30s, early 40s, while female orangutans can live into their mid to late 40s and into their 50s. The oldest female orangutan was in her 60s, 62 or 63 when she passed away. Males live a little less long than females. In the wild, orangutans probably live into their 30s, maybe a little bit longer if they're in a really well-protected forest. But because of deforestation, they don't necessarily live as long in the wild.
Weston would like to know, why do the boys have those cheek pads?
That's a very good question. So that's one of the quickest ways you can tell if you're looking at a full-grown adult male orangutan, is if he's got those big cheek pads. So those big cheek pads serve a function. So just like if you're at home out in your yard and you're wanting to yell at someone that's at the other side of the yard, or standing more than 6 feet away from you right now, you might cup your hands around your mouth so that your sound projects further. Henry's cheek pads are like that. So it's basically like he's always cupping his hands around his mouth, which makes his sound and his calls go further. In the wild, his territory is defined by how far his long call goes. So if you can hear his long call in the wild, that's his territory. Same with the gibbons. While they don't have the cheek pads, they also sing or duet, and if you can hear them duetting, you're in their territory.
We have a question. Do they have predators?
They do and they don't. Because they are an arboreal species, they're usually up in the treetops. And so it's very hard for most of the larger predators in Indonesia to actually get to them. Maybe snakes, maybe a big cat, if it's like a leopard that likes to climb trees, might be able to get to them. But they're very naturally athletic and arboreal, and just like Hosen's showing off, orangutans can move really quickly through the tree canopies, so it's kind of hard to catch them. I would say that their main predator is actually humans, unfortunately, both in the tearing down their forests and then the illegal pet trade. So sometimes people in the wild will try and catch wild orangutans and turn them into pets. We don't recommend that. Orangutans make horrible pets. They're super strong, they're super intelligent, and they're always better to see from a distance.
Braden asks an excellent question. Who is Henry's favorite keeper?
So Henry's favorite keeper is actually Stephanie, so the head keeper. She's been with Henry the longest, so he has the strongest relationship with her. He has to put up with me more, even though I'm not his favorite, but he definitely prefers days that Stephanie's up here.
Maggie asks, do they make noises?
They do make noises. They can be quite loud, quite vocal, and make noises all the time. Henry is a particularly quiet individual, so you usually don't hear him making lots of noise. And when he's outside, when you guys are here at the zoo visiting, when he's outside, even if he was making some of his more common calls, which are kind of like grumbles and grunts, those are very soft, very quiet, so they're not necessarily easy to hear from where we're standing right now versus where he's at. But behind the scenes, when he's back in his bedrooms, he makes grumbly noises and happy noises. He does long call on occasion, but the gibbons are far more vocal than Henry is.
Isabel would like to know, what is Henry's favorite thing to do?
Henry's favorite thing to do would be to sit and watch people. Just to have people to stare at. If he can see your ears, he's even happier. So for whatever reason, he likes ears on humans. So if you're ever standing over here and he's looking over to you or looking at the public, so if you guys turn to the side and show him your ears, he will seriously enjoy that.
Henry also enjoys time playing underneath blankets and large boxes.
He likes
Two of his favorite enrichment items. Heather asked, does he do any training, or as we call it, operant conditioning?
We do a lot of operant conditioning with Henry. So Henry is super smart. So we have to keep him engaged socially, mentally, so that we're meeting all of his requirements. Training wise, we're not really doing tricks, we're doing things that allow us to take care of him. So that's why we call it operant conditioning or behavioral husbandry. So it's all things that allow us to take care of him. So most of it is body presentation, so presenting fingers, toes, arms, shoulders, his hip, his back, his cheek pads, his air sac. He's sitting in such a way that you can't really see his air sac, but it's this big flabby thing that's underneath of his face. So that's prone to infection, so we do need to be able to actually poke and touch at it to make sure that it's not filled with anything. We also have to make sure he has a really healthy heart. So we do more complicated training where he'll sit and present his body in such a way that we can use ultrasound machines on him so that we can see his heart. And then we're also working towards being able to draw his blood, just like you guys have done when you visit the doctors, as well as doing blood pressure readings, something also that may or may not happen when you guys go to the doctor.
Jay would like to know, how long is the gestation of a female orangutan?
Okay, gestation for a female orangutan is just slightly shorter than a human. So around 39 weeks or so, just a little bit. I'm totally tripping over my words. I'm sorry, guys, but a little bit less than a human.
Hosen says, "Look at me, not Henry." Molly asked, do the gibbons ever play with Henry?
The gibbons try to steal food from Henry. So they try to see what they can get away with, what Henry will let them steal or take. Sometimes he doesn't care and he lets them take stuff, and other times he very much does care and will run them off. But for the most part, they kind of keep to themselves. Usually when you're visiting the zoo, you'll see them kind of like they are now, Hosen and Connie showing off along the vine work or up high, and Henry just chilling watching the people.
Jennifer asks, can orangutans swim?
So orangutans cannot swim. They're not necessarily a fan of water. Some orangutans do like water, like to play in shallow pools, like to play under hoses or sprinkler-like situations. But actually swimming is not something that they like to do. Part of the reason is they're not really, outside of humans, primates really aren't designed for swimming. They don't have enough body fat to keep them buoyant or to keep them floating, so it's a lot of work for them to swim. There are some species of primates that do like water, but orangutans are not really one of them. There are instances of them in the wild crossing through shallow streams to get from one side to the other so that they can continue to forage for fresh food.
And Madison asks, does he shed his hair?
Henry does not shed his hair. He does lose hair just like we do. So like when you're combing or brushing your hair at home, you are going to lose strands. Some of it's going to fall out. Well, we don't brush Henry's hair here at the zoo. His natural good hair days are his own. He does all of his own hair care. Grooming, sometimes grooming his hair, but most of the time just letting it dread out all natural like that. Most of the time, if he is playing with his hair, it's his forehead hair or his head hair, and he'll run his hands through it to kind of get it back to the way he wants it to look. But for the most part, he just kind of lets it be. And again, we want to thank you guys for joining us here. We're excited that you guys are excited to see Henry, and we know Henry misses you guys. And just like you saw Henry working through a puzzle, a forage pile puzzle, we want to make sure that you guys check out the activity. I think you guys are doing a maze activity, so please check that out. Please do that. Show us your results. We look forward to seeing it. And again, thank you guys for coming and checking out Henry today.
Thank you. We'll see you later.